Hi, Kim Victoria here, and for this video, I'm going to do a watercolor painting based on that plein air experience I had last week. And check out that video, which is about sitting in my car on a windy, kind of a soggy day and just enjoying the scenery and doing a colored pencil sketch. So here I have a sketch that I have started to lay out on watercolor paper. And I'm preparing to do a watercolor painting of this scene. I decided to do a watercolor of this scene, and I'm also going to do an oil painting. It's always interesting to try different media with the same image. It can be very, very interesting to do that and experience it in those different ways. And so I didn't take any video of this process because a friend came over. And later in this video, you're going to see what she created because we were both working from the same photograph. So I just used a 1-inch brush and started to lay in some basic colors, some basic groundwork colors. I'm just experimenting. I'm just going to feel my way along and let it evolve. I'm using Graham watercolors for those of you who are interested in those materials. And here I've pulled back so you can see the palette and the painting and the photograph and see where I've gotten at this point. And in this next stage, you can see I'm developing the foreground more, getting more of the shapes, the dark, the light. As I said, it's like any other painting. It's an experiment. Just another stage, kind of sketching in some of that green. I use a damp brush to help soften those edges after I've put them in. This watercolor paint is very nice for that. It's very easy to soften edges even after they're dry. And I appreciate that because our air here is dry. So everything dries pretty fast. And I just pulled in a little closer so you could get a look at the brushwork. So this is exciting to show two different interpretations. Now mine is not done, but my friend Marissa, hers, she considers done. And we talked about it, and I love how she was so spontaneous. She wetted the paper entirely first. So she's going with a very loose, impressionistic feel. And mine's very tight and controlled, and it's that oil painter coming out in me. I'll talk about that more in a minute. So I love it. I love seeing how somebody else does the same image, how they interpret it. And I want you to see that too, is that it's so experiential. It's, you just have to go for it with whatever you've got. So I'm going to continue with mine. Let me show you hers close up. It's just so cool. So here is her painting, and what a contrast between ours. And I love this watery effect. It's really beautiful. So she's still got some strong diagonals in there. She still has the same elements, but it's much freer. It's really lovely. She's very good at using the iPad too for painting digitally. So back to where I was when Marissa decided to leave. And it's always useful to put a painting in a mat or a frame of some sort, because it gives you a better perspective on where you are. And it's important to stand back. So after I saw it in a mat, I decided there were definitely some adjustments that needed to be made. And this is what I've decided. I'm going to call it finished. And one of the things that I want to say about this that a lot of watercolor artists will totally get is that you can tell I'm an oil painter. I had a watercolor teacher say that to me one time, that you can tell when an oil painter does a watercolor. And the reason for saying that is because I like a lot of contrast. I tend to go darker than most of the watercolor artists I've seen. They tend to not go as dark. And I love getting strong contrast. And what I felt when I was at this scene was that drama. I wanted the drama of these yellow autumn trees against those dark evergreens that were behind them. And another thing that I'm looking for in finishing this is softening some edges, creating more of a focal area with the tree kind of off to the left there. And then I felt, oh, I needed to pull some dark down to the bottom and into the corners on the bottom, just to balance it all out. I really want your eye to get pulled into that focal point tree with the dark and the light, with more of those branches showing, because it was mostly a bare tree. So there it is. This is my interpretation of the photograph that I took on that windy, wet day. And the next stage in this is going to be going ahead and doing an oil painting, because then I can get into a different kind of textural feeling with the paint itself. But for now, we have a drawing and we have this watercolor painting. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.